so we can get started. Drove down this morning from Carlsbad where it was pouring. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Navy Pier and the official groundbreaking for Frida Park. Thank you all for joining us this morning, and thank you for those that are joining us live. I'm Laura White, the president of the USS Midway Foundation, not taking Terry's job. Absolutely not. San Diego native and a very excited civilian that someday underfoot, real soon, is going to be a park. This morning, we welcome our major stakeholders in the permitting, conception, design, funding, and completion of Freedom Park. Thank you all for playing a major part in this milestone. Before we begin, it is a privilege to introduce an American hero to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. At 96 years young, Al Hansen is a Midway volunteer docent and World War II veteran. Al was an aviation machinist mate who served as a gunner with Patrol Bombing Squad 10 in the Pacific Theater during the war. He spent 4 years in the Navy during and shortly after the war, flying in a variety of aircraft, including the SBD Dauntless dive bomber. Al has been a Midway docent for nearly 20 years and has 7,000 volunteer hours. Al is one of many reasons this park is being built. It is our honor to have him be part of this ceremony. Now, if you are able, please stand and join Al in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you.
We'd like to welcome some additional folks making this possible. With us from the Port of San Diego, we have Vice Chair Daniel Moore, Commissioner Michael Zucchet, Commissioner Zid Vuraca, Commissioner Ann Moore, Commissioner Emeritus Rafael Castellanos, former State Senator Steve Peace, former State Senator Didi Albert, and we have our USS Midway Museum folks, board members, our USS Midway Foundation board members, the Capital Campaign Committee members, we've got Midway trustees, and also from the Port, Mark Yielding and Tom Russell. We're grateful for the Port's presence here today and their partnership on this project. We also have many of our loyal and hardworking volunteers with us today who are still very concerned about parking, and we've promised them we're going to find our way through it. But I know that they too are excited to see this come to fruition. And so now here we are at the site of future Freedom Park, where we made that promise so many years ago so we could have this pristine location here in San Diego. This location, along with the thousands of volunteers who have made this possible, is bringing this park to life. So why Freedom Park? Freedom encompasses many meanings, each deeply personal. Freedom Park has been designed to inspire and remind Americans and guests from around the world of those personal meanings, and that we will continually strive for a more perfect union and uphold the values that define our nation's identity, an identity so many have fought for. What we want to do is Chairman Tassin is quite familiar with the Freedom Park project, as he was serving on the Board of Port Commissioners back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when a planning goal was set to convert this pier into a park. He's serving as the commissioner once again and is the first in the history of the port to be appointed by the board by two different member cities, first Imperial Beach and also Coronado. San Diego Bay is near and dear to his heart as the proud son of parents who made a living in our port community working in the local tuna industry. Please welcome Chairman Tassin.
Thank you. Opportunity to get involved in a project and still be involved when it becomes a reality. And that's the case for me, and I'll talk a little bit about that. I First of all, I'm Frank Ertas, and I'm the chair of the board of 2024 of the Port of San Diego. And there were several of my colleagues that were introduced today. One of them that wasn't was also former Commissioner Steve Cushman. And I'm going to say, without Commissioner Cushman, without Commissioner Emeritus Rafael Castellanos, without Ann Moore, this project wouldn't be a reality. There's been a lot of work over the years to make it from 2001 to today to become a reality. But there's somebody else too. And people know less about this. But let me take you back to 2001. This was Navy Pier. This was a pier that was owned by the Navy, maintained by the Navy. And the forefathers that brought this forward that said, we want to bring this beautiful USS Midway here, knew that we had to do something about the pier. The Navy had to transfer the pier to the state of California, then it would go to the Port of San Diego. Not an easy task, folks. And there was a senator at the time serving us here locally in Sacramento by the name of Steve Peace. He's sitting right there. That came up with this vision. As we went to say, we're going to transfer this, we need to open this park up. We need to build a park here. We need to open this up and make it inviting for the public. And it wouldn't happen would it not been for Senator Peace. Give him a round of applause, Peace. I'm so excited to be here today for this groundbreaking. This has been a long time coming. It's going to be a monument to the men and women that have served our nation, who have protected everything that we hold so dear to our hearts. It couldn't be better. I was talking earlier to a television station, and I said, you know, Detroit might be known. This here will drive the point home that the military plays a huge part, and we hope that it will continue to be recognized, San Diego, as a big military hub where we will give credit to all the military that have served here all these years. Folks, this is a big deal. It's going to be over 10 acres. This building's going to be gone. It's going to wrap around all the way to the Bob Hope Memorial. This is going to be a big, big deal. It's going to be the largest veterans park on the West Coast. Memorials and monuments, play structures for the families to be able to come here, make it inviting for the kids to come here, to also learn about our history here. It's going to have seating and shading and an interpretive area and signage all throughout. I'd like to thank the USS Midway Museum. I remember back in 2001, over 20 years ago, when there was very important folks that came forward and said, we need to bring this Midway here to the area. Today, and I'll introduce Terry in a minute, but there's been a lot of men and women along the way that have made this the most successful military museum in the world. Over 1 million visitors a year. We're going to deliver on this park, on this idea, on this vision that Senator Peace had, have this a most visible and inviting public waterfront. At the Port of San Diego, that's what we're striving to do. Now, we have parks all over the area. This may be one of the most important ones that we build, and we're super proud of it. I'd like to share a little bit of history with you of how we got here. Again, over 20 years ago, 2001, we began working with the Navy to be able to bring the Navy Pier in a transition to civilian use. The following year, in 2004, was when the Midway Museum opened doors. Since then, There's been a lot of work that's come into it. If you haven't checked out the model here, check it out. This is going to really whet your appetite on what this is going to be like. Again, I'm very fortunate that I was here on the commission when this was a dream, and I'm very, very fortunate to come back to the commission and be here when we break ground. Captain, a Naval Academy grad, a Navy aviator, had deployments in the Coral Sea, on the Coral Sea, the Abraham Lincoln, and our very own USS Midway. Terry was the commanding officer of the U.S. Ronald Reagan and the USS Enterprise Strike Group. After retiring from the Navy, he spent several years with General Atomics before assuming the helm at the USS Midway. Please welcome Mr. Terry Kraft.
Good morning and welcome to our Pier. So glad to have everybody here. Congressman Peters, Mayor Gloria, thank you for that kind introduction, Commissioner. All current and former port commissioners, San Diego leaders. We've got 3 port commissioners and former port commissioners here today. Should introduce my boss, John Driscoll, chairman of the board, and also Ben Clay, who's head of our foundation board. Really happy to have everybody here. We're just delighted to have you here when we're starting something very special here on the Pier. As a president and CEO of this museum, I can tell you that we've worked long and hard for this day, over 20 years in the making. You know, what I've learned in this job is, in my 1 year, getting to meet the mayor and everyone else, is how many people truly care about this city, about the people of this city, and about the visitors that come to San Diego. So many of you are represented here today, and we are honored by your attendance. When I set out to write this speech, I decided to take a look back and go through the tons of documentation that sits in my office. And I was amazed at what happened over 20 years ago when a crazy group of people decided to try to bring an aircraft carrier to San Diego. So I looked at all the documents, environmental impact statements, testimony, all the things that had to go on to get the ship here. It was really a lot of work. I'm glad I wasn't here then doing that stuff. I was talking to some of the docents. I said, well, what did you usually do in those early days, you know, when you were working on Midway? They said, we cleaned. I said, what did you do like after work was done? They said, we cleaned. So cleaning, painting, preservation. It's now a 79-year-old ship, and I think it's never looked better. A little better than when I was on Midway even. Well, I'm happy to report we're doing okay. As Frank mentioned, we're the #1 ship museum in the world. We do over 1 million visitors a year, and this year we will welcome our 20 millionth visitor to the USS Midway. We're working out a deal. We're going to give them some free hot dogs or something. It's going to be great. We do over, but in addition to being a museum 10 to 5 every day, we do over 400 military and evening events. Right now, they're celebrating Anzac Day up on the bow. They'll probably roll down here after. We do high school proms. About 20% of our revenue comes from these events. So the museum is doing very successful, and we're also very happy about our community impact here in San Diego. There was a study done, over $90 million of positive economic impact to this community since we opened. And I'm proud to say we've given over $4 million back through Pillars of Freedom grants to deserving nonprofits here in San Diego. Several of them are here today. To get people aboard. If you're aware of a program called Museums for All, it allows people to visit Midway very inexpensively, and we're very proud participants in that as well. But now it's time for step 3, and we are so proud to team with our partners from the port, all the great people I've met who support us from the port. I could go down the whole list of names, but it's a team. I want this to someday be a study in a successful public-private partnership as we move forward. There's a lot of challenges to come, a lot of things that we're going to face, but it's nothing like what it took to get this ship here, what it took to build this museum. So building this park is a challenge that we'll be able to do, and we're going to meet that challenge. So I just want you to know that Midway Museum is all in to build what you're seeing in this beautiful model over here. We're going to build the largest veterans park on the West Coast, and it's going to start right here on this pier. Right here in the port. So Scott, welcome back to the waterfront.
This is so great. This is unbelievable. I am excited because, first of all, we're going to get rid of this building behind me, which is one of the ugliest buildings you could imagine, right? And this is definitely a case where less is more. Now we have to, then we'll turn our attention to City Hall, where the mayor's got some plans, and the port building is nothing to look at either. But this is going to be great to get rid of. And it has been my honor to represent San Diego in Congress, where I focused on connecting what's important here with what's happening in Washington. But today, as we break ground on Freedom Park, I'm looking back at the many generations of leadership that brought us to this point, and made me laugh to hear Steve Peace. I haven't seen him in a while. He never had notes. He always gave his speeches without notes. I'm going to make sure that I don't go on forever, and I'm just constrain myself to the paper. For decades, San Diego's leaders have looked to the Embarcadero and dreamed about what's possible. And now, here in 2024, we stand a little older, a little wiser, and we're accomplishing the mission. It's been an ongoing effort that I've had the honor of helping with at every step of my career on the City Council, on the Port Commission, which I really wanted to be introduced as Port Commissioner Emeritus today. I'm excited about that. And now in Congress. We were able, by the way, to bring community project funding to this, this project in the amount of $2 million from the federal taxpayers. So thank a federal taxpayer when you can. And that's what's happening here today. We, of course, are excited to welcome visitors, but this is going to be an amenity for San Diegans to enjoy and an opportunity to honor those who've served our nations, our veterans, which is so important to us here. At our core, San Diego is a proud military town with a cherished history of playing a pivotal role as a partner in the national defense. In times of war, many San Diegans have answered the call of service, and some have made the ultimate sacrifice in defense of freedom and democracy, and we see all around the world how important and precious democracy is today. Freedom Park will honor their service, their sacrifice, and their integral place in our community. That's very appropriate for San Diego here. Most of our brave veterans separate from service and become some of our most valuable members of our workforce, successful business and civic leaders. Too many become homeless, left behind by a country we've sworn to serve, and some do fall behind. In Congress, we've worked to expand veterans' access to earned benefits, to improve the service at the VA, to find placement for veterans who are looking for work. And we fought to help our veteran constituents retrieve over $3.1 million in benefits that they rightfully earned, but they just couldn't turn the cranks in the federal government. And I consider fighting for our veterans one of the most important jobs I have as a member of Congress. And there's more work to do. And this park is designed to honor our military. And to be welcoming to everyone, tourists, locals, families, children, young adults, seniors, and veterans. And it replaces a parking lot that offered wonderful waterfront views and access to cars, which is great. But you know, we have to learn not to build our city around parking, but things like this park. And we're going to find ways to do more of that. So it may have taken us a while to get to this point, but we're going to end up with something we can be really proud of. And I want to thank the leadership and staff of the USS Midway, the Port of San Diego, the Navy, and everyone who's participated in a remarkable effort to bring this project from a distant vision to a shovel-ready reality. It's been an honor to support this effort. Thank you for inviting me to participate, and I will be here for the ribbon cutting, the only thing that's better than a groundbreaking. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Congressman Peters. Next, it is my pleasure to introduce Captain Dwight Clemens. Captain Clemens graduated from the U.S. Naval Academy in 1996 and earned his Naval Flight Officer wings in 1997. As an electronic countermeasures officer, he made multiple overseas deployment during his nearly 30 years career on aircraft carriers USS Kitty Hawk, USS Harry Truman, USS Ronald Reagan, and the USS Carl Vinson. Before his assignment as Chief of Staff at Navy Region Southwest, he served as Commanding Officer of Naval Base Coronado, just across the bay. Captain Clemens has amassed more than 2,600 flight hours and 650 carrier-arrested landings, doing all kinds of dangerous stuff around the world we're not supposed to know about, in support of democracy. We're delighted he's able to join us as the U.S. Navy's representative for this historic event. Captain Clemens.
Before I start today, I want to say a special thank you to all the red and yellow and purple hats, the docents for the USS Midway. Without them, this is just a big gray ship. But they bring this ship to life and give that history. So a special round of them. So good morning, friends and special guests, Congressman Peters, Mayor Gloria, Port Chairman Anderson, and Midway Museum President Kraft. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to celebrate a true win-win success story. It's an honor to represent the Navy and Navy Region Southwest and join this distinguished panel as we start a new chapter for San Diego and Navy Pier. As many of you know, this project is a result of an extraordinary partnership that developed based on the shared goal of serving our unique San Diego community. For nearly 100 years, Navy Pier was a gated U.S. Navy property not open to the public. Operated by the Navy Supply Corps, thousands of ships started their overseas journeys and deployments from this pier after being loaded and outfitted with supplies, weapons, and personnel. During times of war and peace, families said goodbye to their sailors and Marines, and I'm sure Army, from this pier as they departed San Diego, many of them deploying into harm's way. Until roughly 30 years ago, this pier housed a massive 2-story warehouse, nearly 3 football fields in length, before being shortened to this current structure remaining here now. Then in 2003, when USS Midway was approved by the Navy and the California Coastal Commission to come to San Diego as the floating Naval Aircraft Museum that we have here, this pier was transferred to the Port of San Diego. This new berthing location for Midway became a centerpiece for the city, enhanced the long history of the Navy in San Diego, and gave the public an additional access to the waterfront. As we break the ceremonial bricks this morning, the next chapter in our Navy and city's joint history begins. This project will be an even better public space, paying tribute to all of those who served our nation as it's transformed into the largest Veterans Park on the West Coast today. It is indeed a special day, if not a little bit misty here. So thank you all for coming out and being here to celebrate this special groundbreaking. San Diego is a true Navy town, and this project will continue to make this America's finest city. Thank you all.
I know we're San Diegans and we don't like rain, but we're going to get through this, I promise. We're almost there. Last but not least, of course, I'd like to welcome Mayor Todd Gloria. A third-generation San Diegan, Mayor Gloria's lifelong career in public service was inspired by a lesson from his parents who taught him at a young age, if you care about something, then you should leave it better than you found it. That lesson continues to motivate Mayor Gloria to improve San Diego every single day. Mayor Gloria has spent his entire professional life in the service to public, beginning his career at the County of San Diego's Health and Human Service Agency. He then went on to serve as the district director to United States Congressman Susan E. Davis, whom he credits as his mentor. Elected to City Council in 2008, Mayor Gloria assumed the reins of the city in 2013. As the 37th mayor of San Diego, Mayor Gloria is committed to making San Diego a city of opportunity that invests in every neighborhood and every San Diegan. Welcome, Mayor Gloria.
Laura, thank you for that introduction. And Captain, great comments a moment ago. Just a correction, as a native San Diegan, this is not drizzle, this is a deluge. This is torrential. Here's your helpful reminder that the mayor does not control the weather. My name is Todd, not God. What I can do is be brief, and many of you know I talk way too fast, and this will be one of the occasions where that probably works to our benefit. I wanted to be here on behalf of a grateful city to express our appreciation to the Midway, to the Port, to everyone who has worked to bring this to this point. As my friend Scott Peters mentioned, groundbreakings are great, ribbon cuttings are infinitely better. And Terry, what are we talking about? Maybe 2 years or so? Yeah, thereabouts? Well, okay. A little mayoral pressure to make sure this gets done faster. Listen, this is an important day for our city, and a lot has been said, but let me just reiterate the importance of this reflecting what we are, which is a proud military town. You know, I have the honor of serving as the first Native American, Filipino, Puerto Rican, Dutch mayor. I don't know if you know, but in our city's history, there's never been another combination like that. When people say, how'd that happen? The answer is very simple: the Navy. All four of my grandparents came to San Diego because of military service or their connection to military service members. They wisely stayed in San Diego, lucky me. But what it has done is really, my family is a reflection of what so many of you have experienced as well. That our cities, embedded in our DNA, is the desire to serve the public, to defend our country, and to leave things better than we found it, as Laura was mentioning. I'm so proud to be a part of a military family, and I know many of you feel the same way. It's very important to me personally to make sure that we find any way we possibly can to make sure that we remind folks that we are and will always be that. So, Captain, I appreciate your presence here today. Reminder, this is just one of many ways that we work together with the Navy to improve not just our ability to defend our great country, but also to protect and maintain the quality of life here in San Diego. This project, a project just behind us that once was not maybe the worst collection of buildings in downtown. It's an ever-evolving list of competition. I'm thinking about the potential at 1220 Pacific Highway, where we have the chance to really drive dramatic change there. The list goes on and on. Navy Warfare Systems Command just up Pacific Highway. There's so many places where we're working together to make our city better, and that's not possible without the strong relationship that we have with the military. And so I appreciate the chance to talk about how this park is an extension of that. I think about when 2 years from now, when we're out here on a completed park, that we'll have an opportunity to remind people of the contributions of so many of our service members, of people who serve their country selflessly and have left their country a better place. And as our congressman mentioned, this will include the benefit of downtown San Diego. You know, great cities are increasingly defined by their waterfronts, and we have a waterfront that is getting better and better. And this will be a crown jewel in that waterfront. 10 new acres of public parkland with the special responsibility of educating the public about what our military veterans have done. That is so quintessentially San Diego, and it's something I'm really proud to be a part of. So let me conclude, because I feel the rain coming, with simply saying thank you to all who are involved, including the great volunteers who are here. I live in Little Italy. You all park in front of my house, and that's okay. I like that. I get to chat with some of you, and I know that what you do here is truly special. You're the welcome wagon for our city, right? You welcome wonderful people to our great city. They spend tax dollars and they go back wherever they came from. That's a good thing. I appreciate your service to our city, and I'm glad that you will soon have a new amenity right here on Navy Pier, one that will be the largest veterans park on the West Coast. I think that's pretty darn cool. So we'll endure a little bit of drizzle. torrential downpour in exchange for get this project underway and deliver a waterfront, a Navy-city relationship, and a city that we can be truly proud of. Thank you all for being here and the role that all of you are playing in it.
Thanks to all of you who stood by this project over the years. You used your voices, your law degrees, and checkbooks to get us here. The team from the port, many behind the scenes, who championed this from the beginning. Leslie Nishishira, Assistant Vice President, who partnered with Mac McLaughlin from the very beginning. Noemi Aquino, Capital Projects Manager, who's been our project lead and has been putting up with emails and calls and meetings with Len and engineering questions from me for over 2 years now. They, along with Nick Dormer and their teams, have just been absolutely phenomenal. Len Santiago, Midway's passionate chief engineer and Midway's Freedom Park project manager, is my partner in crime. He maintains not only this ship, but he will help make this park a reality. It's been an honor working with you, sir, and your email gift game is strong. And finally, a personal thank you to our incredible exhibits team. Many of you have seen this model. What you don't know is we asked to see if we could do a full-scale model. We went out and got bids. And when the bids came back, we said, should we build a park or should we have a model of the park? Pat Coy, our landscape architect, came to us and said, you know, there's a different way of doing it. There's a 3D printed version, but then we would have to bring it to life. And I said, well, that's great. Can it be ready by the groundbreaking? And here it is. It just arrived last week. The team said yes. They spent nights, they spent weekends making it happen. Experts, friends, strangers, veterans, volunteers, civilians all came together to create this. And I'm so proud and so grateful. And that's what I believe is Midway magic. So make sure you get a chance to go see it. So what's next for this project? $36 million, that's what's next. With $5 million pledged, it is time to extend to our community. Join us in honoring them and raise the additional $31 million. I'd like to ask our foundation board members and capital campaign committee members to just stand and wave. These are the folks that will be leading the charge, and they would love to speak with you or your company about investing and honoring our military town. And I'm talking to you, defense contractors. We are humbled by lead gifts from our capital campaign chair, Jack McGorry, Tom and Cookie Sudbury, and Bob and Patty Payne. And we ask all of you to join them with an impactful philanthropic gift to help honor our veterans. If anyone does want to write a $31 million check now, AMG Demo has agreed to let you drive that home and come back and join the wrecking ball. So speaking of Building 11, the Navy knows how to build strong buildings, and we got the best company to take it down, after it's fully baited, of course. So this is going to be a very incredible view. And now I'd like to ask the speakers to join me as the rain comes down and get to hitting with the sledgehammers.
So even for a groundbreaking, it's safety first. And so we're going to ask our distinguished speakers to don their hard hats, safety vests, and their protective eyewear. And as a reflection of the first phase of this project, which is the demolition of the building behind me, we decided that instead of having shovels that will dig into a pile of dirt, that we would actually start the demolition right here in front of everybody. So our guests will soon be, if they can get their vests on, here we go. Easier said than done, that's for sure. We have golden sledgehammers that we're going to go ahead and do the first demolition hit. So basically we will get hammers ready, and then I'm going to ask everybody here to help me count down when we get close. And we'll start at 3. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize this was so detailed. Okay, if everybody could start with me, I'll start with ready, and we'll go 3, 2, 1. So are you guys all ready? And let's not just tap these pavers here. I like to see a little force behind it if we could. You got some going? Okay. So ready, everybody. 3, 2, 1. Woohoo! And the start of Freedom Park at Navy Pier. Congratulations. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. Sorry for the inclement weather here at the end. And the video is starting.